Welcome to part 6 on symbolism, where we're going to look at the goddess in a dark aspect, dark occult symbolism and the owl. I would like to acknowledge Mark Passio and his podcast, What on Earth is Happening, Jordan Maxwell and Michael Tessarian, who have all contributed valuable information to make this presentation possible. Dark occult movements. Membership into the dark occult is usually through being born into an occult family, but occasionally they recruit people. The characteristics they're looking for in recruitment are intelligence and a psychopathic tendency. However, those who are recruited will always have a lower position in the organisation. The higher levels are reserved for those of certain bloodlines. Now, because people are refusing to look into and willfully ignoring the evil practices, the knowledge, the occult philosophy, the dark occultists, then they will be more easily controlled by those who do understand the workings of the human psyche. Occult knowledge is ancient. It goes right back into the ancient world of how the human psyche works. Now, knowledge is neither good nor evil. What matters is how that information is used, whether it is used to uplift humanity or whether it is used to control and enslave us. Now, suppose you learn this occult information and then you share it widely. This will bring the light of day to humanity, meaning the de-cloaking or the unveiling of occult knowledge, so that it can be used, understood and integrated by the average person. And in doing so, more people will be learned about the internal world of the psyche. This will ultimately create the destruction of the dark occult. The external reality is what we build in the world through our actions and what we care about and apply with our knowledge. The goddess in her positive aspect represents true care, compassion, spiritual insight and understanding of the true self. It's getting in touch with the higher self. She represents living in accordance with natural law and the recognition that as one person suffers, all suffer. And all are suffering. The unity of us all makes it a deep spiritual understanding. And the end of suffering is when we do wake up to our spiritual nature and have compassion and apply care, true care. Use right action, the essence of true compassion. This is what the dove represents. And this is why the dark occultists will depict the dark aspect of the goddess, the owl, and suppress the positive aspect, the dove. Now, the dark aspect of the goddess in ancient traditions represents those who do not have compassion. They do not have the qualities of love. They have the qualities of psychopathy. They are psychopaths. They kill their emotions, as represented by the depiction of the owl. The owl is a predatory bird. It's neither pure nor white. This is why the owl is the main symbol as the goddess in her dark incarnation. The dark occult means those who use ancient knowledge, things that are taken away from humanity from antiquity. And mystery traditions use it in this modern day to pervert and usurp natural law and human rights. They mind control you and the population. They subvert people's rights. These are all traits of a psychopath, of those whom care has been annihilated. The owl is their symbol, a predatory bird that can see its prey in the darkness through superior vision, the one eye. The owl represents ancient knowledge, the wise old owl, because this knowledge comes from thousands of years ago, goes way back into ancient Babylon and Sumeria. The owl sees from a high perspective, not from the ground, and it prepares to pounce. Owls prey on rabbits. The rabbit has been used to represent innocence and fear. Dark occultists indeed feed on fear. They destroy or prey upon innocence. And the owl is a perfect symbol for the dark occult and of the entire elite world. These people have destroyed care in themselves. They have cut their connections to God, the true goddess of compassion, wisdom, and instead they have chosen to reveal base materialistic instincts, and they take pleasure in perverting true knowledge and then using it as a mechanism for control. Now contrast that with the positive forms of occultism that are attempting to take this knowledge and use it and distribute among people freely, so that people are educated and have a defense against the dark occult. The cremation of care. Now, there is a 30-foot tall owl in an altar. It represents the dark incarnation of the goddess Moloch, and it is something that goes way back into ancient rituals from Carthage and the ancient Canaanite rituals connected with human sacrifice. This ritual is called the cremation of care. The goddess represents care, spiritual qualities that are within us, compassion, and the understanding of our true spiritual nature, that we are not just physical beings. Now, dark occultists want to pervert these qualities within us. They want to destroy compassion, destroy our connection to the divine, our emotional compass, our true moral direction. Emotions enable us to feel compassion, so those without a connection to spirit cannot feel emotion, psychopaths. It is estimated that as many as 4% of the population are born without the ability to empathize or feel emotions. They do not have a conscience. This is an extraordinarily high number and may actually be 1 in 25 people. Other people can emulate care and destroy it in themselves. They destroy that capacity to feel. That is a created psychopath. So people who aren't born psychopaths can become psychopaths based on their life conditions and how they act, and who they choose to listen to, and what they value. Now, the cremation of care ritual, it's symbolic. It's about emulating or burning up the inner child, thus burning away true care. For these dark occultists is absolution, and the absolution ritual, a ritual for forgiveness. They are saying, we will act as gods, and absolve ourselves of wrongdoing. It's an ancient absolution ritual, or ritual of self-forgiveness. A child during the ritual is floated out onto a lake before the owl, or Moloch. That child is set on fire, immolated. This is the cremation of care, the destroying of the essence of care, destroying innocence. It's an absolution ritual for the members involved in murder, genocide, members involved in terrible, depraved sexuality, and often paedophilia. They are absolving themselves of their crimes by saying, "We are burning away care, so that absolves us." They believe that they do not need to face the repercussions of their actions according to natural law. Now, imagine the hubris, the arrogance of those who assume that they can surpass God. Now, these are psychopaths that meet once a year in the redwood groves 7 miles north of San Francisco. Occultists do have a variation of care, and they're working at it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without break. They care about what they're doing, but their care is dark, it's violent, it's pure evil. But they have a form of care, and this is why they are so successful in what they're doing. Now, the average person, most people, they may have a good essence, they may have a good heart, and an actual desire underneath to do good. But most people do not care enough to put into action what they believe. They might have an intention, but they just don't care enough to do anything about it. In contrast, the dark occultists do have a combination: high intelligence and dark care and strong willpower. Put all those together, they create change in the world. People who are not unified can't change. Our symbolism is everywhere. It's even depicted on the US $1 bill. It's hiding behind the shield representing the number 1. Now, these dark occultists are money masters of the world, and they're putting their dark symbolism in places where people would not see it easily, nor recognize it or understand why it is there. Their attention is to direct it as it goes into the subconscious mind, but it has never been brought to the surface, to the conscious level. They are hiding things in plain sight as a form of occult mockery. Dark occultists love to mock people. The logo is another example of occult symbolism that's out in the open. Everyone sees just about every day, but they don't recognize what it is. The Mazda logo is the face of an owl. It is astro-theological symbolism. Ahura Mazda is the solar cult of ancient tradition. Ahura Mazda is another variation of the solar mythology, as depicted in conjunction with owl symbolism. Now, owl symbolism is especially used in banking institutions. They also use it in architecture. Now, this symbolism represents not caring about anyone or anybody that you hurt, not caring about anyone else but yourself, and you're doing it for money, greed, power, influence, and control. These are aspects or are symbolized by the dark goddess. 6 of the dark aspects of the goddess, how the goddess is ritually murdered, and then in part 7 we will look at the positive aspects of the goddess. Kia orana from Rarotonga.